NADECO urgently requests that all countries worldwide, especially the United States, place an immediate visa ban upon Professor Mahmoud Yakubu. NADECO hereby, as a first step, formally severs its relationship with Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu as a former founding member of NADECO USA for his participation in the worst electoral fraud in Nigeria's recent history.
My country people, there is trouble in paradise. As we dey talk so, now that when be say there be international bodies for inside USA, don't come out, can't chook their mouth for this presidential elect matter when it dey grant for inside Nigeria. Not be small what they happen, my people. Mr. Tinubu, INEC chairman, and Mr. Buhari, all of them, they don't enter big trouble for Nadako hand. Nadako don't come out, can't talk now, say they want make Mr. Tinubu drop the certificate of the presidency when he be say INEC chairman carry give Mr. Tinubu. And again, they don't ban down visa to they enter USA. My people, make una hear wetin dey happen. Sit down, watch this video to the end. Una go hear with una ear wetin dey happen. But before I go drop this video, if you dey meet us for the first time, you never subscribe to this our YouTube channel, I beg make you not forget to hit on the red subscribe button, turn on the bell, like and share this our video so that other people go they know wetin dey happen for inside Nigeria when we all come from. So my people, make we watch this video to the end. This our channel. Now here we dey talk about news and politics, and we dey bring them as the hot con dey give una. So make we watch this video.
I bring you greetings on behalf of NADECO and the people of Nigeria. NADECO welcomes you to the first of its series of events planned over the next several weeks regarding the recently held presidential election in Nigeria. For those who are not quite familiar with NADECO, I'll give you a little bit about the group. The National Democratic Coalition, for short, NADECO, is Nigeria's premier and foremost pro-democracy group based here in Washington, D.C. It was initially registered in Nigeria in 1994 by a group of very prominent politicians and pro-democracy campaigners who needed a platform to fight the military regime of the infamous dictator General Sani Abacha after he took power through a military coup in November 1993 and reneged on his promises to hold elections and return Nigeria to democracy, as was its birthright since obtaining freedom from British colonial rule on October 1, 1960. Sorry about that. A broad-based coalition transcending ethnic and religious lines was formed, which later gave birth to NADECO in Nigeria. No sooner had NADECO begun a peaceful resistance against the then military leader, General Sani Abacha, started to assassinate and jail its members. In order to save their lives, several of NADECO members fled into exile to neighboring African countries, the United Kingdom, the United States, and Canada. In 1995, those NADECO members who fled from Nigeria got together and registered a new NADECO in the United States. Since 1995, when NADECO was registered here in the US, it has continued to push for good governance and credible elections in Nigeria. NADECO alleges that the election results pronounced by the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, on February 25 through 26, 2023, are fundamentally at odds with Nigerian election laws and constitute a wholesale disenfranchisement of Nigerian voters caused by the pervasive rot of Nigeria's increasingly kleptocratic political structure. NADECO demands that that INEC draw back its curtains to let the full light of truth prove the transparency and veracity of the 2023 electoral process. It is without question that nearly all of the electoral reforms implemented to safeguard the 2023 Nigerian elections have been savaged by INEC and scattered to the winds of tyranny. It is beyond debate that initial investigation into the 2023 Nigerian presidential election discloses that Nigeria's most recent election is the polar opposite of transparency, fairness, and electoral integrity. This election was polluted by blatant bribery and widespread corruption. Even INEC itself has admitted to its abject failures to comply with the requisite transparency laws mandating real-time electronic transmission of election results from the polling units to the public, instead opting to cloak the electronic results in darkness before emerging with a declared rather than proved winner who is presently incapable of being fully embraced by the world. The INEC action clearly constitutes negligence per se and electoral fraud, as it violated the very statutory provisions and guidelines that are designed to protect against the type of fraud caused by its failure to transmit the results in real time. The people of Nigeria are supposed to be the ones the statute is designed to protect. Instead, they have found themselves at the receiving end of the resulting gross injustice. NADECO maintains that the 2023 presidential election is an attempt to disenfranchise the Nigerian people through the four horsemen of democracy's doom: bribery, voter intimidation, insecurity, and vote rigging, all harnessed to skew the results of the 2023 presidential election. NADECO calls upon the people and the judiciary of Nigeria and international community to join hands in a concerted effort toward global condemnation and absolute rejection of the hasty, hollow, and illegitimate result declared by INEC as being contrary to the will of the people and the rule of law. Here are some positions that NADECO has taken. NADECO is gravely concerned about the irregularities, voter intimidation, violence, the breach of the National Electoral Act, and most importantly, the abrupt and hurried pronouncement of the dubious 2023 presidential election results. This, in our viewpoint, signals a whole disenfranchisement of voters in Africa's largest nation. NADECO's goals and singular mandate have always been to fight for the rule of law and democracy in Nigeria as Nigeria's watchdog of democracy. NADECO hereby, as a first step, formally severs its relationship with Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu as a former founding member of NADECO USA for his participation in the worst electoral fraud in Nigeria's recent history. NADECO and Tinubu fought Abacha as the military dictator who scuttled the will of the Nigerian people in 1993 June 12 elections. Ironically, exactly 30 years later, in 2023, NADECO is fighting the same species of dictatorship, but only this time a much more dangerous civilian dictatorship, a kleptocracy mostly perpetuated by one of those who fought Abacha then. NADECO will not look the other way simply because the fraud was perpetrated by one of its founding members. NADECO urges the Biden administration to withhold any recognition of the product of the flawed elections. NADECO further entreats the U.S. Congress to introduce a resolution calling on the U.S. administration not to recognize the product of the election. It is the product of a poisonous tree. NADECO calls on the international community to support the empaneling of a team of internationally acclaimed technical experts to examine, interrogate, and analyze the INEC servers and beavers and all the other equipments that were used to extract the original votes and information. NADECO implores the Nigerian people and the judiciary of Nigeria, acting in concert with the international community, to join together in a concerted effort toward global condemnation and absolute rejection of the hasty, hollow, and illegitimate results declared by INEC as being contrary to the will of the people and rule of law. NADECO demands that the chairman of Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, must resign or be removed immediately. NADECO urgently requests that all countries worldwide, especially the United States, place an immediate visa ban upon Professor Mahmoud Yakubu. NADECO solemnly exhorts the U.S. to not deviate from its democratic standards in Africa just because it fears competition with China and seeks to curry favor with illegitimate dictators who come to power through bribery, force, intimidation, and vote rigging. The U.S. should come out and condemn the apparent corruption of the electoral process and impose an immediate visa ban on those suspected to have compromised the polls. NADECO demands that President Buhari and INEC Chairman Professor Mahmoud Yakubu should be held jointly and severally liable and accountable by the Nigerian courts and international community for what is currently happening across Nigeria in the days following the 2023 elections and for what would happen in the next few weeks or months should INEC's noxious banquet be forced down Nigeria's throats. These are the positions that NADECO would like to put out there for the international community. People in Nigeria are going to court, but we are appealing to the court of public opinion to see what happened in Nigeria. We're basically challenging the process, because the very law, Electoral Act that was put in place to guide against what happened was broken. So the Nigerian people and international community would like to know why that was the case. Because once that was broken, it means the protection that that Electoral Act provided for Nigerians was gone. Thank you.